Portugal, there's a YouTube show full of fun facts you need to know. Carl rings the bell and the members show to the GMP Morning Show. Featured guests will come and they will blow your mind. The audience will do so in kind. The little vanity mixed with some insanity on the morning show with GMP.
Good morning, Portugal, and I'd like to welcome you to another fantastic day.
Hey, Gumpers.
Hola, bon dia, alegria. Munson here with a Good Morning Portugal show, a live stream and podcast. How are you this morning? Amazing webinars last night. If you're interested in cryptocurrency, you might want to review that webinar that will be on the Expats Portugal YouTube channel from around 6 o'clock on Sunday evening. It was a deep dive. It was pretty good as an introduction. I think for both enthusiasts, we had Pedro and Tiago presenting, who are enthusiasts of Bitcoin. And I think other Bitcoin enthusiasts love that atmosphere and praising the Bitcoin and the blockchain. So there was plenty of that going on, me included, by the way. And it was good for newbies as well. I think they had a pretty good balance of technical information. And it was really all those things you wanted to know about Bitcoin, but were afraid to ask. And they're going to pop their and the blockchain and cryptocurrency. Other coins were mentioned, or other cryptos were mentioned as well last night. And of course, the tax situation regarding cryptocurrency sounds like it's best to hodl or hold. It's getting complicated. It used to be an amazing place to come if you were a crypto person, Portugal, but I think the government have got wind of that, so it's slightly more difficult, turning from a tax haven into a tax hell possibly when it comes to crypto. But make your own mind up about that. And of course, it wasn't investment advice; it was just an introduction. And let me say a quick round of hellos before we go to Colleen, who's joining us. I think she might be back in Alcobaça. We'll see. We'll find out. She's been touring. She is. She's back in Alcobaça. So, Nubianette, I want to tour and party. That's what's brought you here. The name of the show this morning: touring and partying continued. It's amazing. Barandi's given us 3 events to take a look at in his neck of the woods. And he was saying, yeah, the partying continues. There are parties everywhere. All you have to do is stick your head out the window and follow the music. That's how it is here in Portugal at the moment. However, currently, I might be sleeping. You don't appear to be in California right now, Nubianette. Lovely to have you here this morning. Coach Turner's in. James as well, of course. Bom fim de semana from James. Feliz sexta a todos. Como é o vosso dia, says James there. And Deagle's in from Belfast. Lord Travanka is here. And I forgot to show those pictures of the moonrise on Sunday. I will feature those this morning. We've got a bit of catching up to do with some of the lovely submissions and contributions on 913-590-303. Lots of lovely pictures and videos, but we'll talk to Colleen first, of course. Bom dia, Portugal, from João Ernesto de Lima. Good morning to you, João Ernesto. Karen and I, says Mike, had a great time in Geneva, Switzerland. Oh, other people touring Europe. Currently driving through the French countryside, heading back home. That sounds lovely. Have a croque monsieur for me, if you will, on the way back. Hola from Owen. Good morning to you, mate. And it appears SMDP is about 5 to 10 degrees cooler than Ponte Lima this weekend. I'm sure that's true. Not happy about it, but I did start moaning about it last night, and Jerry told me to go and spend 2 weeks in Manchester in the UK, which did the trick. Let's give her a nice big round of applause and bring her onto the stage. Hola, bon dia, tudo bem? How are you, Colleen?
Bon dia. How are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. Yes, very good indeed. And I was moaning about how cool it's been here in San Martino de Porto. Not a brilliant summer, right? Here on the Silver Coast.
Oh, but you know, it is so beautiful and comfortable. We just came back from a 3-week tour in the south of France, and we're in the 40s. So this is a welcome temperature right now.
Nobody cares when I say it, how mild it's been. It's like, you're so lucky. We're sweltering here in the Alentejo or the Algarve. So yeah, this is the place to come if you want to cool down. So where have you been? It sounds and looks like you've had a lovely time.
Oh, we had a fantastic time, Clyde and I, and we took Dutch, our big 125-pound Newfie Doodle. So he was He was the driving star, and
I bet he was. Wherever he goes, he's the star, right?
where we went, he definitely helps you make friends wherever you go, because it's a constant stream of conversation. But we went to up through Spain into the south of France, and we explored the Occitanian region, from Toulouse to the Mediterranean.
Wow.
And then we came back and dug into the Basque region of France. So really went from coast to coast, the west to the east side on the southern part of France.
Wonderful. So a well-earned break.
It was so wonderful to go and explore, though I will have to say we felt a bit exiled by the third week. We were ready to come back. Felt like we were like, wait, why are we spending like 4 times the amount of money for a coffee and a pastry and sitting and watching people at a beautiful cafe looking at a historic monument? That's in our backyard. So
isn't it? Yeah.
Exactly. So we did feel like maybe 3 weeks was too long to be gone. But we had a fantastic time, and the food, of course, in France, being foodies, we just were having a blast. We did the Michelin star restaurant tours, and Dutch was welcome in all the restaurants in France, and one of them cooked him a special meal. Yes, it was fantastic. They saw him, and we had asked if they had anything like a chicken breast or something we could just cut up for him to have a little something when we were having dinner. And the chef was like, no. And he went in the back and he prepared a whole meal for Dutch and served it to him in the restaurant, and everybody saw and stuff. So yeah, it was pretty funny. He was the star of the show for sure.
Oh, I mean, what comes to mind is the scene from Lady and the Tramp. I mean, did Dutch have his girlfriend there, where we could have the meatballs and spaghetti and kiss his girlfriend?
He should have. He did make a girlfriend. He did make a girlfriend later in the trip, where every day we take a walk and she'd come trotting out to the edge. She's, French and
in a very French way. Yes, I could just imagine. Yes, yeah.
Very French way.
There he is. He's heard his name mentioned. Yeah.
he's playing with the ball behind me. So it was great. And I really think that the thing that I found after living in Portugal for the time we have, this trip was scheduled 3 years ago. I had to postpone it last year as we lost my dad. So we did the trip that was supposed to be last year, this year. And I realized how much we've changed in our tastes and our interests. So what we had planned 3 years ago and what we executed here the last 3 weeks, Clyde and I both realized that living in Portugal and not being a tourist in Europe from the American point of view, but coming from Portugal, we no longer have the same needs. We are not yearning for all the historic architecture. We're not dying to see the small town kind of village experience. It really did give us a lot of food for thought on what our future travel is going to look like, because Portugal has it all in so many ways. It really does change the way you look at traveling through the rest of Europe.
And it is worth checking those old, they're not assumptions exactly, are they? I guess they're positions, aren't they? Checking the old positions. Like, so when you first are coming here or arrive here, I'm going to be doing this, I'm going to be doing that, and I'm going to make sure I do that. And after 2 or 3 years, as you say, of being here, you've changed as a person, and those needs aren't quite the same, are they, anymore?
Exactly. We live in Alcobaça, and for your audience and those, if they don't know, it's a small town of about 25,000 people with this beautiful historic monument, the monastery, and a fantastic cafe vibe, right? Like all the cafe tables, and you're out. And when we used to travel from the United States to Europe, we would try to get out of the big cities and go to the smaller towns to really soak up that type of experience. So we naturally scheduled our vacation kind of in the similar way that we used to. And then as we went to small town to small town to small town, we're like, wait a second.
We've done this. We know this.
We live this. And so we realize now we've chosen not to live an urban lifestyle. We're living a smaller town lifestyle. So our plans for next year are to do city escapes, like 4-day weekends, and look at where the nonstops go from Lisbon, Ryanair, EasyJet, whichever one's on sale, and just grab one and go, and who knows, explore Stockholm or, whatever comes up on sale. And really spend time doing the opposite of what our daily life is, as opposed
That
to
makes a
trying
lot
to.
of sense. Yeah, I'm trying to remember a name, a new influencer, a person on TikTok. Actually, I don't use TikTok much, but somebody recommended a lady who's new to. I want to say her name's Kate, but I'm not entirely sure if that's correct. And it was suggested that she come on the show, so we'll be chatting to her. But she was talking about this, about how I can go to Budapest, I can go to Prague, I can go to Dublin, I can go to London. And she was talking about the ridiculous airfares. I mean, ridiculously cheap airfares.
And
And
from an
that's,
American perspective, it's insane because we can't even
yeah,
fly from like Portland to. I was from Portland, Oregon, and to fly from Portland to San Francisco, which is an hour and a half flight, it would easily be $300-400
really,
round trip just for. We don't have the short haul prices like Ryanair or EasyJet or Wizz or any of these.
right.
Transavia, which until recently I thought was Transylvania Air.
Yes, it should be. It really should be, shouldn't it? And all the staff should be dressed up in a suitably gothic manner.
Exactly. I was so disappointed to find out it was
Yes.
Transavia and not Transylvania Air. I just
I'll
thought
take a
that.
Bloody Mary. I'll have a bloody. I don't know why, but I just feel like a Bloody Mary on this flight. Yeah.
I know exactly, but it really is something. We decided to book our Christmas break for 4 days to go up to Bordeaux, and the flight from Lisbon to Bordeaux is an hour and 20 minutes. It's like 40 euros round trip. We got a deal. We're taking our daughters with us, and we're going to go spend some time there for Christmas. And I think that's what we're going to start doing, as opposed to really just trying to replicate our lifestyle here somewhere else.
Very good. And you can afford at those flight costs. You can afford a fancy coffee in France, even, can't you?
Yeah, Clyde's still reeling from his 15 euros for 2 espressos and 2 really small cookies.
No.
Yes.
Okay, that would be an outrage in Portugal, wouldn't it? I mean, people would be rioting. I think if anything was to happen like that here, that's outrageous.
It was a lot.
But I must ask you about the Michelin food and what it was like. What did you get to savor and delight in eating at these fabulous restaurants?
I think for us, we went to one that had the wine pairing, and it was 11 courses, and they did such creativity.
Is that all?
Just that's all, 11, but they were small. It was French cuisine, and small portions.
Yes.
But one of them that really stuck out was a veal tartare with an oyster ice cream.
Yikes! Right.
I know you're like, no, thank you.
No, I probably would. I would. It just sounds amazing. It's. I mean, that's the whole point as well, isn't it? It needs to be off the scale.
It was completely unexpected. The oyster ice cream was mild, but it brought that briny, salty flavor to the veal, and it was so beautiful. That was one of the bites that just really stuck with us. They did this saffron lobster that just was out of this world, and they kept pairing all of the wines, which were beautiful. But I will have to say, as lovely as the French wines are, Portuguese wine is amazing. Yes. And I didn't feel like I was going into France and going, now that's a wine. Like I was like, it's good, but I like what we have at home. So it was interesting. We even changed perspective on the French wines, which we usually.
I can imagine a French waiter coming up to you. Madame, is there something wrong? You are not amazed by our wines? What is wrong? Is it bad? No, I just live in Portugal. That's all. I just live in Portugal.
Exactly. And it was so true. But the Michelin, the other place, we had a foie gras rocks at one of them where they looked like rocks that are put in almost like a sweet fondant with the foie gras inside, and then it's placed like a river. It was amazing. So, and it was a blast too, because I love the flair and the presentation and everything.
Yes.
So.
Yeah. And the sense of occasion, presumably, as well. I mean, it must be lovely for everybody involved in that process to see so much delight and joy. And
I love the comments that are coming through about the airlines. It's so funny because I agree. Like, I know when I get on Ryanair, we're not going to have any kind of experience, but I also love not paying extraordinary prices to take a hop. Like, if we're going to go a long way, I want a comfortable flight and meal service and things, but I'm good if it's an hour and a half and I sit in kind of a plastic chair and they try to sell me lottery tickets. I'm like, okay, whatever. I'll get there in an hour and a half. But it is definitely not what we're used to as. Oh, sorry.
Hey, don't worry. Morning to you, Dutch. Don't worry. He wants to get involved. I mean, we have been talking about him, so fair play. He needs to have his right to reply and say on the show.
But
Yeah.
it is interesting. Like I have come to the idea that I prefer for these short hops, I just want to get there nonstop. I don't want to make connections. I don't want to deal with any more airlines. I just want to get there and start. So I've become kind of a fan of these greasy spoons, so to speak.
The greasy spoon of the skies is a very good description, isn't it? And they know it, we know it, everyone. It's not like they're being missold, is it? I mean, I remember being on a Ryanair flight and I ordered a coffee. I don't know why, but I did.
I was like, why?
Yes. But I thought, okay, I'll get a coffee. And I started drinking it because I flipped the lid of it because I don't like drinking through a little hole in a piece of plastic. And I
Right.
started drinking it and my mouth filled up with coffee grounds. And I thought,
Oh,
there's something wrong here. There's something wrong here. So I got the young man as he walked down the aisle, and they, they are experts, aren't they? I suspect on Ryanair in dealing with complaints. Everyone knows what's going on, don't they? Look, you got a cheap flight. Shut up, sit down, drink your coffee. I said, I think it might be something wrong with this coffee. He said, yes, sir. You're meant to sip it through the mesh there's an integral mesh in the lid, and you sip it. I mean, I'd never come across anything like that, being my own suction filter for a cup of coffee. But that's how they do it. They pour the hot water, presumably scalding. Actually, no, they probably don't have scalding hot water in flight, do they? They poured some lukewarm water into
warm
this.
water.
Yeah, warm water into this mix of, which I imagine would have been perfectly marketed as the, I don't know, a Brazilian
Arabian blend
rose.
of
Yes,
such.
the Arabica beans. You delight in our carefully curated mix of coffee beans, but you have to suck it through the mesh. Like
And you're delighting for hours because it's stuck in your teeth.
wiping it out of my moustache and beard. But he said, you need to suck it through the lid, sir, and sort of gave me a tap on the shoulder and said, we're crap, but we're not that crap. That's what he said to me.
Well, it is fantastic. I learned
Everyone's in on the joke, aren't they?
the first time we flew Ryanair, I was very about like getting my seat assignment, and so I picked the front row seat 1 and 2 right on the left side by the door because I assumed it had the wall and people would come around. What I didn't realize is, of course, people all board the plane right there, and when you get the seats, you get to sit right away. But then, literally, Clyde was getting hit in the head with suitcases. People are stepping on you. I'm like, wait, I paid more money for this opportunity. So yeah, I've learned now that the front of Ryanair doesn't necessarily mean anything better.
Unless you're a people watcher who likes a bit of a masochistic abuse from bottom corner of a suitcase.
That's fair. That's fair. And we did, because we only do carry on, we did exit the plane very, very quickly. We were like, we're out of here.
Yes. Well, so seats 1 and 2 recommended for certain aspects of air travel. Bobby O'Reilly leaping to the defense of the quality. It's a Lavazza coffee, everybody, that you have to suck through the lid. Bobby, did you know that the first time you were given one of those, or did you make the same mistake? Bobby leaping to the defense of Ryanair there. It was a new one on me, that's for sure.
But to be fair, I would never order coffee on a short haul economy flight. So
I know.
I
know. What was I thinking?
Right? What were you thinking, Carl?
Yeah, I know.
But it's definitely Portugal. For our clients, a lot of people follow us for where we're traveling and doing, and because they have the aspirations to do that. That's a lot of reasons people move to Portugal, right? Is so that they can then hop and go to the rest of Europe. Yes. And it's been really interesting to come back and give that feedback of, how dramatically our interests, our feelings have changed about where we're going. Another friend of ours who travels quite a bit now, living in Portugal for some years, she went over to Scotland after we went in May, and she sent me a text, and I can't use all the language that was in it, but she was like, basically, just don't show me another castle or piece of history. She's like, I'm done. I can't do it anymore.
So would you say you're European then? Is that you've become European? Would that be one way of looking at it?
I feel like we're inching closer to that because I find the loud crowds and people being really boisterous in restaurants that are like the tourists and stuff. All of a sudden I become very this kind of feeling of please, what are you doing? And then just this idea of, immediately seeing the iced coffee Starbucks, walking around with someone and just, what's going on. So I think I'm getting that feeling of taking on the habits and the conditioning of being in Europe. I wouldn't say I'd go that far as to say that yet, because I still am I have no ability to look blasé when it comes to these beautiful historical monuments, or the fact that you're standing where Napoleon was, or you're having some experience. Like, to me, it's still like, oh my gosh, but I'll get there.
Well, and you can do that. You can stand where Napoleon was in Portugal as well, of course.
Yes, that's the crazy thing. Is
across a couple of times. Yes.
But there's, it's just really fun to start to separate out what you really love to do and what you're really passionate about, and then what you don't need to do anymore, because now we're not rushing through a 2-week vacation and have a 12-hour flight home. Now we can do things in smaller bites. And I think that's what we realized, is the smaller bites and experiencing different places is what we really want to do. But I will say, anyone that's driving through the south of France that wants to go from Toulouse towards the Mediterranean in the Occitanian region, it is one of the most peaceful, beautiful, historic areas that is a little under known. It's not as well known or visited as Provence. And it just offers an amazing experience diving into an area that hasn't been as commercialized. It still feels very French, like in the best sense of the word.
Yeah, I mean, you can get lost in France, can't you? I mean, France is a vast country, isn't it? It's extraordinary.
Yes. And the Mediterranean down there, from Narbonne to the border of Spain, that southern corner of the Mediterranean, is very calm. Clyde had amazing oysters. We were sitting with our feet on a bench over this little inlet off the ocean, and he's getting like these beautiful oysters, and Dutch is hanging out on a dock with his feet hanging over the edge. And it was just so calm.
What a lovely scene.
Yeah. So it is definitely an area that, if you want to go to France and get a taste of what it has always been, and hasn't as dramatic of a change as some of the other parts of the country that are more visited, it's well worth the time to go there.
Very good indeed. Okay, Bobby, of course I knew. Whatever, Bobby, he reckons he knew immediately how to drink one of those fancy Ryanair coffees, Lavazza inside. It's not like a computer, Intel inside. It's like Lavazza inside with our coffee.
Well, now you have a new thing, right?
I'll always know now. Flying between, not that I'm going to order another one. Flying between the UK and Portugal, for me, EasyJet is my airline of choice. Several flights from multiple airports, especially around London. Yeah, I guess that isn't the recent thing. Yeah, that's a well-run works canteen, isn't it? Not 5-star, but yeah, if you do get the chance to go EasyJet rather than Ryanair, you probably would. If you fly a lot, get an EasyJet Plus card. Right, I know you've got to go. This morning, but anything going on at Portugal, the place that we need to know about? Any webinars or events coming up? Special things that you've been organizing for people?
We're coming off of the holiday, so right now we're still, almost all of our teams are taking their breaks right now. But next time we're on the radio, we have some exciting news, and it has to do with growth and what we're doing here in Alcobaça. So I'll save that for next time. And maybe
a teaser for us, Colleen.
Well, yes. Absolutely. But all is great. People are just finishing up their holidays, and we are crazy busy in the fall. This is when everybody loves to come and explore and consider moving to Portugal. So at the end of September, I can't wait to share what we have going on. In fact, going to sign paperwork about that.
You're teasing us even more, you rascal. And maybe we can do an outside broadcast from Alcobaça, because that would be lovely.
I would love that.
What a lovely place to do that. You were being talked about. I don't know if your ears were burning yesterday. Rodrigo sends his best regards from Benacar. What a place that is! You have to see it to believe it, right?
It's my gosh! Like, I would go to the cafe just to go to the cafe. Like, it's gorgeous. It's a fantastic spot, and they take such good care of our clients. We love them. They
love you too. A message from Rodrigo and the team at Benacar. They love you too at Portugal, the place. I was blown away by that experience. It's a car art gallery, isn't it? It's quite an extraordinary place. And thousands. And
I want the cars that go around on the things, but I have a champagne taste and a beer budget when it comes to cars. So it's
very good.
All right, Carl. Thank you so much.
All the best. One fin semana. Love to Clyde and to Dutch there. Take care, and hi to all the team at Portugal, the place. Bye for now. Ciao, ciao. There she goes. Wonderful. There goes Colleen. Now, I was thinking, should I, shouldn't I? Should I show her the piri piri sauce? She's been at a Michelin star, or several Michelin star restaurants, it would appear, en France, and had oysters by the waterside, probably a few croque monsieurs from little cafes, the greasy spoons of France. But would you, Colleen and Clyde, have tried this? Had this? I mean, it's a very Portuguese thing here, isn't it? I've not seen this before. This is the piri piri con cannabis here, which I guess is, you know, you can put some of the devil's lettuce on your actual lettuce here, or some of the wacky backy on your kebab. As would you or wouldn't you? And then talking of Michelin experiences, I saw this yesterday and I thought I probably wouldn't do that. My children may well try this or even ask for it if I say this too loudly. Without objective morality, everything is permissible. And that is a world without objective morality, isn't it? Spaghetti. That looks like the sort of thing you may have made for yourself hundreds of years ago, back from the pub. Have a look in the cupboard. What? I'm starving here. What am I going to eat? I've only got spaghetti and Nutella. Do you know what? Well, mate, oh yeah, that was delicious. And then you go back to it in the morning and like, who did that? What is that? Oh my God, it was me last night. Would you or wouldn't you? Is the question this morning. This doesn't really fit into the try something Portuguese bracket. I don't think that is a Portuguese picture. But the other one is, so would you or wouldn't you? I wonder what that tastes like, the piri piri con cannabis. I imagine it does have some quite nasal top notes on it, an unmistakable aroma there from Paladin. So quite an interesting idea from them there. Let's say a few more hellos. Let's see who's in this morning to you, Bobby, and to Capricorn, Chris, of course. When I worked in aviation, says Chris, our airline had fresh ground filter coffee with cafetiers. None of this sucking it through the lid thing. And that Paladin logo always looks like some rascal's wide open mouth with a tongue. I was just thinking that, and that's not a special then that's not the Mick Jagger special for that particular salad. It's not a salad dressing, is it? It's a piri piri sauce. I don't know what. I think it could go into a salad dressing, of course. But yes, you're absolutely right. It does look like Mick Jagger and the Rolling Stones logo. Astral Sol is here. Good morning to you, Astral Sol. How are you? Bon dia all from you. And igualmente, right back at you. Wishing you a bon fin semana. Astral Sol, how's it going? Deagle. I forgot to share that with. I hope you saw that on the screen there. A bon dia Colleen from Deagle. And yes, let me just go back to the God Squad tip of the day then, because Coach Turner was in at 7:34 this morning. Bon dia todos e feliz sexta. Always up for touring and a party. That is really what's going on. We are the 23rd of August here in Portugal, and festas everywhere. The touring reference, of course, was because Colleen's been away to France. Mike and Karen also heading back, having been away. And it's interesting how everyone says coming home. Isn't that lovely? Always up for touring and a party. We know that, Coach Turner. Lots of chemtrails in the sky today. In fact, aren't they called? They're not. I didn't think you called them that, Coach Turner. Lots of chemtrails in the sky today. In fact, so many that there's no blue to be seen, and they're dropping liquid chemicals. In other news, it's raining. I see what you did there. God's God tip of the day. It's our final day of walking hints for a while. So what can we do if the weather is foul or too hot, so going outside is just not going to happen? It's simple. Walk inside, put the Good Morning Portugal show on a screen and watch while walking on the spot. We can't accept any compensation claims if you walk into the side of a kitchen cabinet. However, walk on the spot for 10 minutes whilst watching the show. Oh, yeah. I like the idea of people looking at me and getting breathless. Make sure you lift your feet about 6 inches off the ground. It will give you a good workout. So there you go. You can look really silly in the mornings, but it'll be in the privacy of your own home. Walking up and down the stairs is also good, but more difficult to watch Carl's cheery face. Please don't try that at home. Remember, all movement is good, and who doesn't like a good movement first thing in the morning? Hold on. Right. Bon dia, gumpers from One Bag and a Passport. That's Karen and Mike there. Yes, I'd never quite seen it like that. But Barack Zabel, Barack Lord Travanka, a.k.a. Let's have a look at your pictures from Sunday. There's the moonrise. Sorry, I peeked a bit early there. That is a beautiful vista. I mean, it could be Morocco, couldn't it? But these are the hills of central Portugal. And then as it ripened and matured in the sky, that amazing blue moon, which was orange, of course. Was that Sunday? A few days ago, anyway. Thank you very much, Lord Travanca, for those. And I had a bit of a toss up on the meme this morning. The meme was, what was it? I'm never more than 3 missed calls and 6 texts away. That's modern communication for you. Oh, Beery Sarah, thank you very much for that, James. I'll pop that onto the screen as we're looking at events this morning as well as we make our way into the weekend. Much appreciated. Oh, and French countryside. Let's have a little blast of French countryside. Bit rainy in France as well, by the look of it, over there in Bordeaux. So we'll show your little Bordeaux slideshow as well. Thanks very much, Karen and Mike, for those two. Hi there. Okay, we'll miss the show today. We're working in the basement. Some sort of euphemism there. And oh yes, An Old Guy in Europe, episode 11, a walk through Ericeira. That is out on a screen. Why not go straight from here, from this beautiful full moon to The Old Guy in Europe, episode 11, at a YouTube near you, straight after this show. So where were we? Where did we get to? I know what we're going to do. I'll have a chance to drink the rest of my tea now and savor with you some back-to-back video of, remember the blessing of the fishing fleet up there in Viana do Castelo, Our Lady of the Agonies, continuation of that particular festa here in Portugal. Let's have some lovely footage from Bob Wenger, who sent that in on 913-590-303. Cheers, Bob. Much appreciated. Lots of love to you and Viv, of course. In no particular order, let's have a look at how the fishing fleet was blessed up there in Viana do Castelo. The boats look beautifully adorned, and there must have been a time, mustn't there, where they said, could the bishop or a priest come out and bless the boat, maybe daub it with holy water? So absolutely no way. We're bringing the relics on board, as you can see there. So not a quick blessing by any means. Do they sail around the harbour? Do they take the relics out to sea, John? I think you were there as well. More video of that now.
Ano após ano, aqui nos encontramos, reforçando a nossa relação humana. Assim é sempre a convivência entre nós, partilhando a alegria e os sonhos, mas também trazendo a carga da nossa própria vida. Trazemos também os nossos sofrimentos, as nossas aspirações. Ano após ano, encontramos-nos aqui, à volta de Nossa Senhora da Agonia. Vimos precisamente tal como é.
Amazing. And a little bit more. Well, incredible scenes there. Thank you, Bob, for capturing those for us. Absolutely beautiful. We played a bit from João Ernesto earlier on this week. And we've got some stills as well from up there in Viana do Castelo. The beautiful, florally decorated streets. Isn't that beautiful? All the work in that, only to blow away in the wind, I think, will be swept up later on when the festival has concluded. Absolutely beautiful. Thank you, Bob. And I think that's the... which aspect? That's the bow, isn't it, of the boat there? Beautifully adorned for that blessing during the festival there of the Agonies. And back to the streets of Viana do Castelo here. They're very, very grid-like streets. I think we are looking all of this at Viana do Castelo here. Thank you so much Isn't it wonderful that people bother to collect such images for us? Send them in on 913-590-303 so we can enjoy all aspects of life and culture here in Portugal. Much appreciated, Bob, to you. And there's another one there. Incredible, beautiful on the calçada streets there. The calçada streets are pretty enough in their own right, and then they're beautifully laid out with petals and beautiful things at this time of year. So thank you so much for that. Let's go back to the chat and see how everyone's doing and how you're getting ready for this weekend here in Portugal. And you've had your God's God tip of the day today. How's it gone with walking? Was anyone inspired to at least walk 5,000? We discovered this week, of course, that 10,000 was a marketing ploy, which a lot of people have got behind, it has to be said, ever since. And no harm in walking 10,000 steps, I don't think, but not everyone can fit that in every day. How did you do with your walking tips from Coach Turner this week? And Karen and Mike, we agree 100% with the long weekend trips. Yeah, I mean, there comes a time, I guess, when you live in Portugal and you are infused yourself with antiquity. And I don't mean getting on a bit and becoming an old giffer, but you live in antiquity when you're in the Portuguese culture, don't you? You live in an ancient, an old culture. So going away to see that somewhere else isn't perhaps the treat it might once have been. So maybe go, if you live in the countryside, pop to a European city, which I think that will be a coming highlight in an old guy in Europe as he pops to various other cities, which we've seen him. We've seen him pop over to Dublin, of course, and Mike and Karen doing more of the same there, I suspect, as well. So yes, 100% with the long weekend trips that Colleen was talking about earlier on. Your first greeting to us this morning, Chris. How are you? Olá, bom dia a todos. Tudo bem? E agradável, maravilhoso. Carl is genius. Is that you calling me a genius? Why is that then? I wonder. And your Bordeaux stay. Let's have a look at the pictures from Bordeaux then. A little bit of a slideshow from Bordeaux this morning. And thank you very much for thinking about us. I send these, of course, to 913-590-303. We might have a jingle for that soon, but here's Karen and Michael. The Bartons in Bordeaux. How about that? There they are. With a Bordeaux monument behind them. What was the Bordeaux wine like, you two? And that's either rainy or it's a water feature or both, perhaps there. So beautiful Bordeaux. Thank you very much for those pickies there. Nothing as yet on the piri-piri with cannabis. Maybe people don't want to be talking about that this morning. Or you're relaxed enough already. Ryanair, the cafe that flies its customers to places, true, yes, and lottery. I imagine Portuguese people like being on Ryanair with all the lottery tickets as well. The greasy spoon of the skies. Can't argue with that. First time I've heard that. Can't argue with that, Chris. And Astral Soul is just having a coffee himself there. So what are you drinking this morning? You're not having to suck it through the lid, I hope, and suffer that indignity, Astral Soul. Bon dia from M. How are you doing, M? Let me know how we can help further, of course, with how you're formalizing and developing creative roots. This, of course, the work that M's doing to support people in difficult times here in Portugal, some of the most challenging times in people's lives. And Share and Care here in Portugal to support people in that way with the work that Deb did when she was with us here in Portugal, which has been inherited by M and by me to some extent. I'll do my best to help out, but M really is the holding the space together for supporting people in difficult times in Portugal. And I think she needs to be supported and helped to develop that work. She can't do everything with that. And there is a post up on at the Portugal Club talking about how we can support her with a GoFundMe or any other ideas you've got. I think the idea, Em, is to get a bit of a board together so there isn't just you driving that, and we can have a bit of a collective effort with that, a team effort in how you get supported in supporting other people. So good luck with that and have a great weekend. Pete's in 5 EasyJet flights in 10 days, Chris. And all of them over an hour late. Bon dia todos. What a beautiful morning. And all of our breakfast from the garden again. That's the way to do it, Pete. Fantastic. Not your coffee, presumably. Have you been grinding your acorns, however? Not a euphemism, an actual genuine request there. I think sometimes when people have not been able to get coffee, they've ground, it's ersatz coffee, I think it's called, isn't it? I think I read that in a book once upon a time. The coffee everywhere in Portugal is excellent. and embarrassingly modestly priced. I did ask a few questions about Salamanca on your behalf. Pete may well know Salamanca. What have you got? We're off to Salamanca next weekend, says Lord Travanca, and we will send pictures. That's wonderful. And it's a great video. What was that? The one we just showed there, Em, or the one you just made? Pam Smith is in as well. Have you been able to get any sleep? You're into the San Bernardo, well and truly. And did you say that the music goes on till... We're talking about partying this morning, and this is at a Portuguese party. Did you say, Pam, that the music finishes around 4 in the morning, but they're sound checking again by 8 in the morning? A little bit difficult. I think maybe your sense of humor is being tested over there in Alcobaça. And I believe we've got a San Bernardo. This is what must be happening around Portugal at the moment. Of course, there's a San Bernardo in Aveiro there. On the outskirts of Aveiro city centre is this bustling suburb. Why not visit this super festival before or after visiting the Venice of Portugal? And of course, yes, they have the sign in Venice, the Aveiro of Italy. Check out the Toca Grilo restaurant for a typical Portuguese lunch experience. I think it's shut was your PS to that. So don't go to the Toca Grilo, but maybe note that for a future visit to Aveiro, the Toca Grilo, one of Andy's favorites. Be there by 12 because it gets busy. Great value meals cooked and served by the brothers at the Toca Grilo there. A couple more from Andy while we're looking at the Gumper map here. That's what you can see behind the images. Super summer festival at the bustling beachside village of Gafanha de Nazaré. 5 days of summer fun there. Excuse me just one moment. Water nurse. And finally, from the Bairrada area, Andy's Manor, opposite the beautiful church is this super festival. Fact, the first time we went there, an older gent by the bar asked if we wanted anything. We said 2 beers, please. We were distracted. He gave us our beers. We went to pay him, and he said, Boas festas, and wandered off into the crowd. Isn't that lovely? He was not a barman, just a friendly local. Oh, as well as the church cafes, bars. That's a lovely story. As well as the church cafes, bars, and nice park. They have a great museum of the history of Portuguese music. Not a bad place to set up camp if you're thinking of moving to Portugal. So that's at Trovascal in the Bairrada area there. And the São Bartolomeu Festival started on the 23rd tonight and goes through until Sunday. A few other things to tell you about in the events realm. Thank you, James, for this. Coming up next week then, or 2 weeks' time, 6th, 7th and 8th of September, Beer de Serra. That's a pretty well-established and loved beer festival with street food workshops, 70 beers on tap, sunset sessions. Who doesn't like a sunset sessions? Kid-friendly beer festival, only in Portugal, and free entry into that. And around that time as well, our mate Branny is launching his, we previewed the EP, did we not? Or his new single anyway, and his new, I was going to say his new vinyl outings. It doesn't work like that anymore, Carl. But new music from Branny and the official tour. I'm sure I saved this somewhere. Here we go. Here's Branny. And this, you could, actually, it's not a massive journey if you've got a designated driver who will take you from Beer de Serra and then to the Prohibition Bar in Óbidos. Gareth Owen is opening there for Branny, and it's the Road Love, the release party. We chatted to Branny, of course, and he, along with other great musicians who we're meeting here in Portugal, it's incredible. Oh, the Portuguese released a single yesterday. I think it was yesterday that he released a single yesterday. So much musical talent around us. If you go over to the Portugal playlist at the Portugal Club, you'll see Branny's music, you'll see Michael Bliss's music, and Rockin' Ron Rogers' new tune as well. We're so blessed by the musicians that surround us here in Portugal as well, the foreigners that are coming over and making some amazing music here to complement the music that we're learning about and loving here in Portugal too. Other pictures that we didn't share and events from this last week. Oh, bit of a sing-song if you want it. In the words of Kenny Rogers, look at this motorcyclist here. You picked a fine time to leave me, loose wheel. Thank you very much. And the Aurora Borealis, forgot to share this. This came in from Sweden, Portugal. Anna, who is, you could say now you're Portuguese in Sweden, couldn't you? Portuguese resident in Sweden, back up there enjoying the Aurora Borealis. Thank you. And sorry I didn't show this picture sooner. Anna, of that beautiful boat there with the aurora, the northern lights behind it there. Also forgot to show this earlier on in the week, but this is still relevant today and tomorrow. The Leiria Gothic Festival continues. Now, I think it's a goth music festival. It's not the Transylvanian vibes that Colleen was talking about earlier on. From dust to light. Isn't it the other way around when you're a goth? And it's it's said to be the biggest goth festival in Europe. So that continues in Leiria at the moment. Partying also continuing in the Algarve. This was sent to us by Paolo. This looks like a Kodachrome slide from about 1968 of a beach party in California. That's actually Albufeira. And that was a moonlight party there. Looks fantastic, doesn't it? Let's get off to a sand dune real soon. Kick up a little dust. There you go. Midnight at the Oasis in Albufeira right there. I don't know what this is. Let's click on it and see. Oh, that was the rather unfortunate scene at that car park near Lisbon Airport that we talked with Nuno about. Oh, yeah, and talking of Beniccar, where we were yesterday, if you want to get in touch with Rodrigo, having seen that amazing place there yesterday, there is his digital business card. And that's Rodrigo Costa, who allowed us to use his desk yesterday. Tiago led us there. Thanks, Tiago, for meeting us very early on in the day yesterday, long before anyone got to work. Parked us up on Rodrigo's desk, and he came straight to work and got behind the microphone and chatted with us. That was the most amazing experience. Bobby O'Reilly, have you been there? We need to film there one of these days and test drive a few of those motors and have a bit of fun with Colin at Beniccar. That was an incredible event there. This was going to be the meme. Oh, it was a toss-up this morning between the earlier meme that I mentioned, which is if you ever need me, I'm always just 5 missed calls away and 6 text messages away. A lot of us are like that these days, aren't we? And that's just the parents escaping their kids. Old Coots giving advice. Do you fancy setting one of these up? I was going to open with this morning, but let's talk about it now instead. This could be an extension of the expat meetup, couldn't it? Old Coots giving advice. It's probably bad advice, but it's free and you can get a beer or a coffee. I think that could work really well. If you want to give back, as it were, here in Portugal as a foreigner, as an expat, then why not do that? Why not set up a little table, get a beer, get a coffee, and give out free advice to unsuspecting passers-by? Any more events that you've got, do send them in, 913-590-303. Thank you for all your pictures and videos this morning. And let's see what's going on in the chat. And I also want to bring to your attention something called the Happy Hectares Project, which was brought to my attention in the Portugal Resident this week. I think my article is called something like you can't grow your own on your own. And it is the launching or the furthering of the idea of matching up people who've got land that they can't, for some reason or other, take care of themselves, and want to attract people who will come and work that land and do some sort of sharecropping or crop sharing or community agriculture in such a place where everyone can enjoy that win-win, can't they? And everyone can get some fruit and veg out of that arrangement. And people who can't get access to land can get access to land through that kind of partnership. So that article, I was talking to Josh, who's the driving force between our our driving force behind our men's shed here in San Martino de Porto. And I said, community growing, people with land can't look after it. How about us men's shed guys go and look after the land and grow a few things? Great idea. He wants to do that here in San Martino de Porto. And he said to me, have you heard of Happy Hectares? It's a friend of mine who's doing it. And it's a tree planting scheme here in Portugal. So if you're in the tree planting habit, from whence you came, and you want to continue that, and you'd like to make a little bit of an impact with how forestry works here in Portugal, because I think the eucalyptus situation is a little bit of a controversial one. Those plantations are quite the fire risk, and that it's not a native species. Of course, it's an industrial species, if you like, for the paper we use both in the office and in the lavatory. So, we do need it, but arguably, do we need as much? And maybe a little bit of diversity might be nice when it comes to tree planting here in Portugal. So Q happy hectares. And we'll be having the gentleman, Chase, I think his name is. Yes, Chase Patel is behind this and will be coming to talk to us at some point. But if you just want to go ahead and plant oak trees, either the cork oak or the other species, the white oak that you may have seen in the Portuguese countryside, or even a madroño tree, the tree strawberry. That was one of the first fruits that I tried here in Portugal. Happened to be in the country at the right time and picked. You've got to be careful with those. They are best eaten from the tree, and they do become quite a sloppy mess if left and are splattered on your patio. Best left to the countryside, I think. And you can go ahead and plant them. You can pay Chase to plant them across the countryside. And let's find out a little bit more about them. Plant a tree today, grow hope tomorrow. We've carefully chosen the trees above to be planted in central Portugal because of their native status, ability to grow in the region, and the impact they provide for the local wildlife and community. So encouraging biodiversity there and returning it to a natural landscape. Join us today, they say, on our journey to reforest all of Portugal. That's a lovely aspiration, isn't it? Do you love trees? Environmental rock star options are available to you. If one tree isn't enough for you, then please select our 5-tree option below. So there you go. Frequently asked questions. What is Happy Hectares? Happy Hectares is an agroforestry company based in central Portugal, focused on reforestation and fire prevention. We are a team of international professionals that have partnered with local communities and governments to restore central Portugal to its former beauty. Now, that's an interesting point, isn't it? I think it's very beautiful as it stands, but it's perhaps not the central Portugal it once was, with all of that industrial agroforestry going on for the paper industry. So well done, Chase. Good effort. Good job. And keep up the good work over there. And we look forward to talking to you on the screen here on Good Morning Portugal soon. Shall we have a look to see if we can find any uplifting news stories in either the Portugal News or the Portugal Resident? Have you got anything you want to share with us? Events-wise, always very happy to do that on a Feel Good Friday. But has anything else come to your attention that you would like to share here on the Good Morning Portugal show as we make our way into the weekend? Do let me know. A few more comments have come in. OLP, lovely to see you here. What events are going on in October? We shall be there then, Buddha willing. Well, then you must go to the Buddha Eden Garden, which will be open in October. Just PM me and I'll help you put together a tour, OLP. It's going to be so lovely to meet you finally. Hold on a minute. A few more other comments have come in as well. My pleasure, absolute pleasure. And let's see what we can do, see what this community can do to help people, to help you, to help other people. Basically, that's what it's about, isn't it? Bon dia, all you lovely gumpers, and to you, Carl from Montana. Good to see you here this morning, OLP. Aviation, the knock-on effect. If a plane flies to 4 destinations in a day, if one flight is delayed, then the rest of the flights for that plane will also be delayed. Variables, passengers, weather, ATV. What's that? Air traffic difficulties, perhaps there. Thank you for that, Chris. He knows a thing or two about flying. How many miles do you think you've done by aeroplane now, Chris? Old guy in Europe, today's video out today is the best yet, says M. There you go. There's a nice review of your work there. AG. No, hold on a minute. I'm trying to go with your acronym here, James. The OG in Europe. That's how I want to refer to you. The OG in Europe. That's what I was reaching for. I had a bit of a sleep last night. Yes. Well done, Pam. DJs until 4 a.m. No sound check in the morning. But yesterday there was some work being done on our building. All quiet. Shh, let Pam have a little bit of a snooze. Go on, go back to sleep. I'll be out there reveling myself tonight. Nice one, Pam. What you might even, in the party spirit, might splash a little bit of piri con cannabis on your kebab later as well, as it were. Have a great time, Pamela. Congratulations, Mrs. Travanka. What did I miss? Oh, by the way, Mrs. Lord Travanka, Lady Travanka, that would be, I think, Barack. Lady Travanka officially retires today. Well, parabéns, congratulations. What a lovely place to be doing that. How are you celebrating? And hemp, talking of cannabis, is a great replacement for eucalyptus and paper. Yeah, there you go. And so much more with a capital S and an O there. Fabulous. Chris, from Peter, you forgot nicking other planes off route if it gets near 3 hours. What's that? Is it changing stock as well? We're having to. It must be a nightmare, the logistics of running an airline, especially with such tight profit margins, of course. My pleasure, OLP. Just send us a message and or actually jump on the Portugal Club as well. Tell us when you're here. Tell us where you would like to go, and it'll be a team effort in helping you out as well. Excuse me again. My Little Pony, a little horse this morning. And yes, in response to your inquiry there, OLP, October is lots of Magusto events. Where is it Jerapiga we're drinking there? So it's the beginning of the roasted chestnuts and with a little bit of a special liqueur. I think it's the Jerapiga that's made from the grapes, from the wine, the grape harvest. It's made from the grapes. I believe I'm right with that. Pete, I think, might be able to confirm or deny that. Yes, air traffic control rather than an ATV there. Thank you very much. And thanks, Pam, for your tips to OLP as well. And yes, congratulations, Lady Travanka, on retiring today. What's the first thing Lady Travanka's going to do? It must be weird. I don't think I'm ever going to have that feeling that I imagine others have, who've worked in an industry for several decades or a sector, and it goes from being very full on to suddenly stopping. I mean, that must be quite traumatic in its own way. So how are you guys? How are you doing that in Travanka world? Let us know. And how do you intend to celebrate that? And all the best to you in your retirement, Lady Travanka. Lots of gratitude and thanks going around the chat this morning. It's lovely to see. Obrigado, M, for that review of the OG in Europe's latest effort as well. Okay, I think we can leave it there. We might have a little bit more video to play for you, but I think I'd like to wish you all a very happy weekend, whatever it is you're doing. And we'll see you, of course, on Monday with the OG in Europe on your screen here with a bit of mindful migration. Oh, Chuck just in, update on our first trip to Portugal. We are halfway through. I thought I read your messages when we were chatting in the Portugal Club there, Chuck, and I thought you'd had to go back early. You've just moved around the country in a different way to how you originally planned. Fair enough. We're halfway through them, not gone back, thankfully. Been to Villarreal de Santo Antonio, to Tavira, off to Lagos and the Benagil Caves today. Thanks to all the great advice we've received from the Gumpers. It's a pleasure. Love it when that happens. And Pam, I imagine the first thing she is going to do is nothing. Well, that's fair enough, isn't it? And Byrandy's here. Sorry, got distracted. Have a great weekend, everyone. No worries, Byrandy. We've shown your smattering of events and told that lovely story of how you got bought beers. Chuck, sounds like you're having a wonderful time. So you're only halfway through. Do let us know if there's anything else we can help you with. So yeah, anything else that any other advice you want, tell us where you're going, and of course the Gumpers will step in with some serving suggestions for you. Okay, I think a little bit of video or a song or something like that to finish on this weekend, if I haven't deleted it already from our video deck here. Have a great weekend. Okay. Let's play this. A mixture of memes which we haven't seen for a little while. This connects very nicely actually with the piri piri sauce with cannabis. This is our Piri Chagul tribute through memes. Have a great weekend. Take care. Bye for now, and we'll see you on Monday. Bon fi semana.